Building and editing rooms on IMVU is a very exciting thing to do, but there are certain steps you have to follow. And of course, there are little tricks here and there that many people are not aware of, like how to fine-tune the furniture against the wall, like moving a picture against the wall, doing all that stuff. So in this video, I'm going to take you step by step and show you exactly how to do this. Alright, so starting from the home screen, we're going to go ahead and go over here into where it says My Rooms. Now, this is given that you have already purchased your rooms, or whatever. Many of you probably have several rooms and probably know some of this stuff already, but just for the sake of the people who have not been through these steps before, I'm going to go through it step by step and just show everybody. So let's go ahead, and if you've recently bought a room, you can try to find it, or you can just go over here, right over here, if everybody can see the cursor, right over here, and click on where it says recently added. That will bring up your recently added rooms. If we click on rooms, which is right here, okay, this is just, the other stuff is just furniture. So here are your rooms. Make sure you're clicked over here to recently added, and we'll take the most current room. I'm not going to do the most current room because I want something with a dark background so you can see the furniture moving around. Let's choose my little apartment thing here. Now, there's a couple of things that are important to remember. Number one is, if for some reason you have derived this room and made it kind of your own, you might have it named the same thing twice. That's possible when you save it. So try to make sure that you save your rooms, if you have derived them, much different names, so a name that you will know, or put a letter or a number after it or something like that. Okay. So let's go into the furniture moving. Now you can see this is one of these places that has furniture already in it. Okay. So, which, by the way, I'll show you in another video how you can black out this furniture. Actually just remove it altogether so you don't even have to deal with that if you want to really make it your own. Otherwise, you're more than welcome to follow the template that they already have for you. So the first step we're going to do, let's just go ahead and, I don't know, let's add, this is your furniture key over here. So let's go ahead and add some furniture, okay? And we'll take seating, for example. And we'll take the cigar chairs, okay? We'll put those in. Now, as you notice, it plants the item right next to where you're sitting or standing. So let's go ahead and sit in this cigar chair. Whoops, lost you there for a minute. Let's go ahead and sit in the cigar chair. And what we're going to do is we're going to move this. So we'll go up here and get our moving tool, okay? Right here. This one right here. So first click on the hammer, then to the moving tool. Let's go ahead and move this thing over here. And this is not a very big space, but we're just going to, remember, this is just for the sake of instruction. It's not what you're going to be doing. Obviously, you wouldn't be putting a big old seat like this in a small room. But we're going to go down here. We're going to wait till we see this. Now, here's what we're going to do, because a lot of people will just move it like this, okay? And as far as you can go, usually is right about there, usually like 2 or 3 feet away from the wall. If you go outside, it's gonna like take you outside, so that's not gonna work. So what you do is you go ahead back to the move tool here. You can see the illumination of the actual item itself. You're gonna hold down the control button, which is on the bottom left of your computer screen. There's also one on the right next to the cursor keys. Okay, but hold control down, and then with your finger or with your mouse, go ahead and slide the item right over, okay? And it's as simple as that. The same thing with pictures. Now, pictures are a little bit different because pictures usually go on walls, not going to go on a floor. Oh, real quick, let me show you. That's side to side. Let me show you now up and down. You can go up and down by hitting Shift instead of Control, okay? So you know how some spots show where people's feet are on the floor like that. Okay, sometimes you have to move it up. It just depends on the mesh of the room. Some people knew what they were doing when they meshed the room, and some people plainly did not. Okay, so that's that. Make sure to lock your item afterwards. Always lock your item, otherwise you'll come back to a room that's slightly misloaded and it'll just be all over the place. Okay, so now let's do the same thing with a picture. Now a picture, like I said, is going to be a lot different. Chances are it's going to it's probably going to come right on the floor, usually where the pictures end up going. And you'll have to move it to the wall, and this becomes a real hassle because different kinds of pictures, I don't know, they're weird. The way they're put together, the way they're built, the way they're derived in some cases are very curious because they don't act like normal furniture. Okay, they're just kind of free, floating in the air in some cases, or on the ground. So let's go ahead. I'll type in picture, okay, or photo. Let's just type in photo, and we'll take an old photo of me. See what I mean? They just do weird things. Okay, so we have an idea that Thaddeus's picture is located right over here. There we are. See it come up there now? See how big it is? All right, so we're going to scale this down with the scale tool, which is right here. Let's go ahead and scale that down by dragging your mouse downward. Okay. Now this is going to be interesting. What we're going to do, we're going to see if we can push this right to the wall. And that's not going to happen. So we'll have to bring it here. So here's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to use our rotate tool. Hopefully it rotates the right way. There it goes. Okay. Now remember what we did with the couch. Okay. Remember what we did with the couch. We can move it back and forth. Well, if you're standing on the side of the picture like I am, you can move it just like this. Okay. But it's going to, please understand, it's going to move in the direction based upon where you're standing side to side. Okay. So if you're standing in front of it now, well, obviously I'm way over here, but I have scrolled over here, and I'll show you how to do that before the video ends. Actually, I'll show you how to do it right now. Okay. So let me reset myself. So I'm right here originally. I can still zoom out. This room has good distance zoom. So we can zoom in and out and put ourselves on the side. But if for some reason I was standing over here and it wouldn't let me go beyond this point, what I'd have to do is turn to the side, put your thumb on the right mouse key or on the right side of the trackpad or the right side of the mouse pad that you have on your computer, and then slide your finger from right to left. It will move you in that direction. Okay, does everybody get that? Hopefully you do. If you have questions about it, you can always come to me and I'll be happy to answer as quickly as possible. Okay, so let's get back to scrolling this picture over. We're just going to remember, pinky down on the control button or whatever finger feels most comfortable to you. Make sure you're looking sideways at the item. And let's hold down that control button and scroll. Whoops. Let's just hold down and scroll over. Okay. Obviously, you don't want to go too far. Okay. Now we're going to have to turn sideways to it. Let's go ahead and do what I just taught you. Put your finger down on the right mouse key and move your finger across or slide your mouse over, whatever you're on, whether you're on a trackpad or a mouse. And let's go ahead and get the back off just a little bit here. Let's go ahead and slide this over. Remember, don't finger down on the control key because we're fine tuning here. Okay. Now you'll notice that something happens if you're not perfectly center and you try to scroll this. I'm going to show you what will happen. It'll go into the wall, right? And everybody's always confused. It's because it's moving on an access point. You understand what I'm saying by access? It's moving on an access point. So basically, wherever you're looking from is the center, is ground zero, okay? If you're looking at a graph. So you have to be directly in front of the item and preferably, whoops, hold on a minute here. Preferably dead on, dead center, as much as you can be, okay? Now here's the next problem. It's way down on the ground. So we're going to, again, like I showed you with the cigar chairs there, we're going to hold the shift button instead of control button down and move upward. Scroll our mouse upward. Okay. And there we go. Perfect, right? Good. Okay. Glad you like it. So that's it. You can look at it from the side. You can see it's firmly pressed against the wall. Looks pretty decent. Looks fairly centered. These plugs are not centered, and I have OCD, so I have a real problem with that. But I guess actually if you want to really center it, it'd be probably more like right about there. Okay. And again, that's with the control key, back and forth, left to right. Up and down is shift. Up, down. Okay. Real simple, just like that. That is pretty much all you need to know. Now, there are some other situations that will come around when you do this kind of stuff. And one of those is you'll find a picture or a corner of a room somewhere where the picture will not fit. The only thing I can tell you to do at that point, and by the way, if you want to take your furniture and move it back to some point that you were previously, because you've messed up somehow, you can always use this little tool, okay, right here. You can go back. It'll take you back several steps. So you click on this. You go ahead and click it. It'll move boom, boom, boom. See how it's going through all the different places we were previous. And it'll keep, it'll keep doing that until it's back to its original height. Okay. So now here's something else you'll want to take into consideration. Sometimes you'll have a picture for whatever reason that will not rotate, okay? Now this one obviously rotates, all right? Let's move this inside a little bit here. Fortunately, this one rotates okay, but sometimes you'll get one like this is as far as it'll go, and you'll have to play around with different rotations, okay? There's the XY rotation factor. So, in this particular instance, what you'll have to do is, once again, use your rotation tool, okay, and use your control and shift keys. Let's watch what happens here. See that? Okay, so this is for items, and I'm sure several of you have come in contact with this. And remember, if you're doing this and you happen to mess it up, and you can't remember, exactly where you had it, because you have to be pinpoint. Remember, just use the Back to the Future. This is what I call the Back to the Future tool, even though it's the past, not the future. But I call it the Back to the Future tool. So click there, boom, right back to where it was. Okay, and right back to where it was again. And then, of course, if you want to go back to where you just were, just use the front one, which really was the future. Okay, so you saw what the rotation tool does there. Now, also, that's with the control. Now, shift does something similar, only it goes this way instead of that way. So you see here, there is a number of different tools in your arsenal that you're able to use whenever you're doing any kind of building at all. You're able to use all these, and it makes life a lot easier. You can fine-tune everything in your room at some point. The next step for you probably you want to derive your own room. Like I just said, you want to create it. Like you can take this shell and recreate this entire shell, but you're going to want to be able to move the furniture around back and forth. But we'll cover that in another video. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask, and I appreciate you watching.